Welcome back to Show and Teller. We are here. It's a new week. It's a new opportunity. It's a great day, and I'm so happy to be here with our next guest. I'm here with Danny Lobell. Danny Lobell is a stand-up comic extraordinaire here in Los Angeles. We'll find out how long he's been doing stand-up comedy for. But part of here on Show and Teller is that, we're always a little bit too serious. So I just thought it would be good to kind of lighten it up a little bit. And, I want to see if I can understand and be catch up with his jokes and everything like that. So I'm really happy that I get to have Danny Lobell here from Southern California. And thank you, Danny, for being here.
Pleasure to be here with you.
So tell me a little bit about yourself. Where are you from originally?
Originally from a place called Queens, New York.
I've heard of it.
Yeah. Flushing.
Are there any Jews there?
I don't know. Maybe it's all Koreans now, but there might still be a few hold-ons. But when I grew up there were in fact Jews.
Were you?
There are Jews in Queens. I don't know that there are so many Jews in Flushing, Queens.
Okay.
But there are probably a handful.
Flushing would be comparable Valley compared to the city type of thing. It's
I don't even know how to compare it, but it's where the nanny named Fran came from as well.
Fran Drescher.
Yeah, that's right. She came from Flushing, Queens, till her boyfriend threw out in one of those crushing scenes. Anyway, that was the theme song. But yeah, then we moved to a place called Long Beach, Long Island.
Not the Long Beach here in Los Angeles.
It's a different Long Beach.
Okay.
More beachy, not as long.
Okay.
But yeah, we have that.
There's a Chabad there on the beach or something like that.
Chabad of the Beaches.
Yeah, I think I've been there.
That's a great Chabad. Yeah, that's right.
I forgot the rabbi, but I've been there. I've been there before. It was wonderful. I really enjoyed it.
It's a great rabbi, great Chabad, great community. So
when you say
Rabbi Goodman is his name.
Rabbi Goodman.
Yeah,
I do remember that.
Yeah. So
when you say you moved there with your family or
they didn't abandon me. I mean, I went with them. I was about 6 years old. It would have been awful if they left me.
And how long were you there for?
I was there until I was 17 years old. So, do the math. 11
yes.
years.
Yes.
So I was there when I was 17.
You have siblings?
I shipped out. What?
You have siblings?
Thank God, 3 younger brothers. Sir.
3 younger brothers.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And what did your parents do? Dad, mom?
My father worked as a photojournalist, and my mother as a occupational therapist. Both careers with 2 names in them.
That's
journalist.
Yeah, I got
occupational.
That was good.
Therapist.
That was good.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
I hope this is living up to what the viewers were expecting.
This is exactly what I was hoping for. Just we're taking it as we go. I'm staying on my toes right now. We're good. I'm really feeling good right now. You know what?
Yeah.
As the rabbi, I'm just going to see where this is going to go after the next 42 minutes. So we're good.
Okay.
And
good.
We're moving on. So
yeah.
I'm happy about that. So as a child, what did you say to yourself? What do I want to be when I grow up? What was your vision?
Well, I had different ambitions. I think originally I wanted to be a veterinarian.
Okay.
And then I found an injured seagull, living in Long Beach. We have a lot of seagulls. And I brought him. Yeah. I brought him into the local veterinarian's office, and he told me he had a bacterial infection in the left wing. And I said, "Can you treat him?" And he says, "Yeah, do you have money?" And I said, "No, I'm a kid." And he said, "Well, I'll tell you what. How about if you volunteer here for the summer, I'll treat him for free." So I said, "Okay, I'd love to do that," because I told him I wanted to be a veterinarian. And he killed that seagull real fast. He choked it. And he was like, "Free work. Okay, good." No, he didn't save the seagull. I mean, he tried, I guess, but it died very soon after.
You still decided to work and do your internship at the veterinarian place.
I made a deal. I had it was my first piece of press. I got written up in the Long Beach Herald. Young kid tries to save seagull, and it was apparently story worthy that I had brought a seagull in for saving. But no, he didn't save the seagull. But I did do the summer of volunteering, and that's when I realized I do love animals, but I love them closed. I don't like when they're open. So
got it.
So then I was like, oh.
When you say open, meaning like surgically open.
Yeah, that's what they do in the veterinarian.
Right.
Like I mean, I had this fantasy as a kid, like, oh, I like animals. I want to be around animals. But
so
I didn't really want to be around
and love them and take them on walks, but nothing.
And I was never like, oh, so keen to see the organs of animals and the blood of animals and stitching up animals. It turned out that I liked the animal part, but I didn't like the medical part. Right. So I just resolved to have pets.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how many pets did you have growing up?
I still do have a lot, and I've had many pets growing up. I currently have 2 dogs.
What kind?
Living.
Okay,
and
good. That's good.
3 chickens.
They're closed.
Closed.
Yes.
One of them is a Boston Terrier, and the other one is a Shih Tzu Pug mix.
Okay.
And I have.
What are their names?
One of them is the Shih Tzu is pug mix is called DeVoe.
Like from Belle Biv DeVoe?
No,
now you know?
No. It's a street I lived on in Brooklyn.
Okay, I just thought it
where
was
my wife and I started dating. And
we'll get to that. Don't jump the gun, okay?
I don't know that we'll get to that.
Well, I'm going to ask you.
There's so much to get to.
Okay.
I mean, what if we spend the whole hour on the seagull?
Talking about the Shih Tzu and DeVoe.
Yeah, all right, fine. And then the Boston Terrier, his name is Grayo because he's gray. And our last Boston Terrier was named Bayo because I like the
Scott
sound.
Baio?
No, I just like the sound it made. Bayo. Like if you're going to say a name a lot of times, it's a pet's name. It doesn't have to have like significance. Like when you name a child, you want to have like a zechut in there, right? Yes. You want to have like some
after the grandparents.
But when you name a pet,
Bayo,
you're just looking for a sound you like to make, right?
Right.
So I like the sound Bayo.
So when you're calling Bayo for dinner time, it's Bayo. Here's
often Bayo, Bayo, Bayo. So I like saying Bayo, and see, I would call him Boyo, which is like what Welsh people call boy. And then it devolved into Boyo, Boyo, Bayo, 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 Bayo. And then I was like, oh, Bayo's better, so Bayo. So I called him Bayo. And then he passed away, and then we got another Boston Terrier to replace that one. And then this one was gray, so we called him Grayo. So we got Grayo.
I got that. It was
Yeah, well, you know.
I'm getting there. Oh, we go flying, you know, listen.
Then I have a cockatiel, and I have a tortoise. The cockatiel is a good story, actually.
Tell us.
Okay. Glad you asked.
Please.
So there's a fantastic rabbi in our community, Rabbi Shaf.
Yes, Elchanan Shaf. Harav Hagon.
And he was the rabbi who officiated my wedding, and he's a close friend of mine. And during COVID, he had a backyard minyan for Shabbat. So I would go to his minyan on Shabbat, and I was there for the evening prayers, mincha and arvit, right? Mm-hmm. So in between, there's something called the third meal. I don't know if the people who tune in are they typically
you explain it.
Hip to this?
Yeah,
we have the third meal.
One should have 3 meals on Shabbat. So there's a third meal.
Suda means a meal or a banquet, right?
Yes.
Shlishit means the third. So we have Suda, Shlishit, or as Ashkenazim would call it,
Shalshidis.
Shalshidis. So what does that mean?
Shalshudis. Shal is in maybe 3, and shudis, Suda.
Okay.
Third meal.
All right, so it means the same thing.
Just in Yiddish.
So we're having the third meal outside, and I hear his kids are screaming, and I come inside to see this creature flapping around, and it lands on top of the bookshelf, and I said,
"It's a seagull?"
Calm down. It was a cockatiel.
Okay, I thought it was a seagull.
It had a big gash under its wing. Anyway, I climbed up on the couch. I got him off the bookshelf. I brought him outside, and he joined us for the third meal. I was feeding him crackers out of my hand, and there was a question if it's considered trapping too. But right. I spoke to Rabbi Shaf, and he said it was not.
Okay.
So
one is not allowed to trap an animal on Shabbat.
Yes.
So
yes.
That's why he was asking the question.
But he was chilling with me. He was very scared, and went online after Shabbat on Nextdoor and saw someone had caught a picture of him moments before he flew in with a hawk pursuing him. That's why he flew in the door.
Wow.
And that's how he got the gash under his wing.
Wow.
So I went after Shabbat to Compton to buy a secondhand bird cage, and that was an experience. And then I got some bird food, and I posted up on Nextdoor, is anybody missing this bird? And I didn't see anything. Checked for a few days, and a few days later, my brother was living in Los Angeles at the time, and my wife and I had a trip planned to Las Vegas. So we dropped the bird with my brother. We went to Las Vegas. And then somebody posted up, hey, this is my bird, and a picture of it, and a phone number which was missing one digit. And so I messaged him through the site, your phone number is incomplete. I have your bird. No reply. Another message, no reply. And then I see he updated the post with his phone number.
Yes.
So I start calling him, leave a message, no reply, leave a second message, no reply. I finally call him a third time, and he picks up, and I said, hey, I have your bird. He goes, okay, I'll come get it. No like thank you or anything like that. He's just like,
I nursed your bird back to good health.
Right, not like any thank you, no gratitude, no. Okay, I'll come get it. What's your address? I'm like, oh, I'm not home right now. I have him with a bird sitter. I'm in Las Vegas, but I'll be back on Friday, and I can arrange with you that. He goes, just give me the address of where he is right now. I'll go get him. And I know my brother doesn't want somebody coming over like to his house.
Some stranger.
Yeah, I said, well, I think it's better if we wait, but you can have him back as soon as I get back in town. Okay, fine. I said, yeah, just reimburse me for the bird cage and the bird food, and then we're all good. And he goes, what? I said, just reimburse me for the bird cage and the bird food, and then we're all good. He goes, well, I don't need a bird cage or bird food. I have all that. I said, yeah, but I didn't, and I had to get it because I saved your bird, and I don't want to keep it because I won't have a bird, so, reimburse me. He goes, well, I don't see how that's my problem. I said, well, I don't see how it's my problem. So if you're not going to reimburse, then don't bother coming to get the bird. He said, I'll let you know. And I never heard from him again. So.
And that's how
I wound up with a cockatiel.
Acquired a bird.
And then.
What did the bird's name become?
My wife named him Apollo. And then a year ago, I don't know how riveting this story is for people, but I like it. I was in the Whole Foods on La Cienega, and I see the guy, because I was like, when that guy was so rude, I was like perplexed. I had to know more about this guy. I took a deep dive into his social media, and I started trying to put together what kind of guy is this who won't even reimburse when someone saves his bird. So I saw a lot of pictures of him, and I had a good idea of who he was. I'm in Whole Foods on La Cienega, and I'm pushing my shopping cart, and he starts coming towards me, the guy from the bird.
But he doesn't know who you are.
And he's looking at me with that look in his face like, I think I know who that guy is, because he may have looked me up.
Uh-huh.
But I knew exactly who he was. And my heart was beating through my chest. I don't know why. I just got very nervous to run into the guy whose bird I have. And he's looking at me and I'm looking at him.
And he's like, how's my bird?
No, and then he just kept walking, and I was like, whew, I don't know what that was.
Dodged a bullet there.
Yeah, I don't know. But that was the story of the bird, man. So that's how I got that.
Okay, listen.
Yeah.
And Apollo is now the Lobells.
Yes, he's a big part of the family.
So when you were wanting to become a veterinarian, and we heard the riveting story on how you didn't become a veterinarian, what was that next dream, aspiration, goal of yours, and say, you know what, how am I going to contribute to society? What's the next move?
Well, then I wanted to be like Leslie Nielsen or Jim Carrey, like a comedic actor. That was my next hope.
What Jim Carrey movie was your go-to?
Well, Ace Ventura, Pet Detective. It combined everything, comedy and pets.
That's it.
I was like, But and then I saw
You were already following Jim Carrey on In Living Color, like
no, I didn't really watch TV much growing up. People always like, and it wasn't because I lived in a particularly religious household, but my parents just didn't want to buy us a TV. They had a TV in their room. They didn't think it was healthy for kids to watch TV, and they said, if you guys want a TV, get your own TV.
Did you grow up in a somewhat religious Jewish household?
Yeah, but I'm saying the reasoning was not because of that. It wasn't like they were like strictly, so from that they were against television. Like they had a TV and they watched it all the time in their room.
Got it.
But we didn't have cable because, my parents thought it was a waste of money. And so I eventually got a TV at a yard sale. It was an old black and white TV with rabbit ear antennas. So like I watched TV in the same way that like my parents' generation grew up watching TV, like, where you have to go up and click it one thing at a time and adjust And so, I didn't watch a lot of TV, but I went to the movies and I saw Jim Carrey and I saw Naked Gun 33 1/3, and I thought that was like the funniest thing I ever saw. So I was like, oh, okay, I want to be a comedic actor. And then when Seinfeld came on the air, my grandma called me up and she's like, you have to see this guy, Jerry Seinfeld. It's so funny. Like after the first episode. And then I started watching Seinfeld, and that's when I discovered stand-up comedy, because I didn't know it existed until then, because of the little snippets of him doing it.
Right.
So I had no idea. I had no way I would have known that it existed.
So because of the show, you started watching old clips of Jerry doing stand-up and stuff like that?
No, it was on Seinfeld.
Oh, on Seinfeld.
There was a part on Seinfeld where he would do stand-up.
I remember now, yes.
And so I was like, that's amazing. I want to do that,
What about Jerry did it for you? What did you find to be so special about him as an actor / comedian? What's his superpower?
I just like the observations. I just thought they were really a funny way to look at the world, and I didn't know that.
Was there comedy like that before, or was he like an innovator in his?
There was, but I wasn't aware of it. I didn't know any stand-up comedy. I didn't know stand-up comedy existed. I had no concept of it. It was before the internet. Like I said, I didn't really grow up with television, and I just had no concept that there was such a thing as stand-up comedy. And then we had the Jewish Week, came to our house, and they had a contest, funniest Jewish comedian contest. And I had started going to Starbucks to do the open mic there and doing stand-up. I was the only one who did stand-up. It was all poets and musicians.
Wow.
And so I still thought I was like on the
So this was your first. Something. This was your first time doing stand-up at this point.
At Starbucks, yeah.
Wow.
And so my parents got the Jewish Week, and they said, there's a funniest Jewish comedian contest going on. Isn't that kind of what you're doing at Starbucks? I said, yeah. I said, I want to enroll. So it was in the city at a comedy club called Stand Up New York. And I didn't know there were comedy clubs outside of the one I saw Jerry on the set of Seinfeld standing in front of a red curtain. So I thought I was going there. And I thought I was going to be competing against Jerry Seinfeld. I was 15 years old.
Come on.
So I really thought, he's Jewish and he's a comedian. I'm Jewish and I'm a comedian. How many of us can there be? So I took the Long Island Railroad into the city to do this funniest Jewish comedian contest. And I was so nervous. Like,
how many were in there?
Seinfeld's going to see me. Oh, there was a lot. It was all like older people from different synagogues, mostly reading off index cards, stock humor.
Yeah.
Wasn't exactly what I thought at all. It was hosted by a legendary Catskills comedian, Freddie Roman.
Okay.
And that was the first time I was ever at a comedy club. I came in third.
And you wrote your own material did the whole thing.
Yeah, but it all sounded like Seinfeld. Because I didn't know there were different ways to do stand-up. I thought this was the form. Like, I looked at it like swimming. Like,
right.
And I didn't understand that you could do whatever you wanted with it. I just was like, okay, like that jokes have to be written like this. I thought he invented it, and I was the second one to do it. So so I had jokes like, what's the deal with convenience stores? What's so convenient about them? Is a supermarket really super? So came in third.
Was the crowd like into it? Were they like, yeah, these are good jokes. What's so super about supermarket?
I got laughs. I mean, I remember like everybody was like, good job. And
was your bubby there?
Yeah, my grandma came.
Wow.
Yeah.
So once you did that at 15, you're like, okay, I got the bug. I think I can do this. This is something that I want to do.
Not exactly. I mean, it's something I wanted to do. It wasn't necessarily something I thought I was going to pursue as a career, but it's something that I wanted to keep doing.
What does one have to do to pursue? I mean, this might be an obvious question, but I don't know as a rabbi. But what would be how does one pursue stand-up comedy as a career? What's the process in doing that?
You just do it a lot.
And then you say, I'm a professional stand-up comic, or that's just.
Well, once you start getting paid, then it's a profession.
Got it.
Right. So like, I guess once you're getting paid to do anything, you're professional at it.
Right.
I suppose. I mean, I think most people, in my observation in life, who claim to be professional at anything, aren't particularly great at it. There's always a handful of people who are great at every profession.
Right.
So not necessary for, when somebody says they're professional, it doesn't necessarily mean they are professional. Or maybe they are, it's just their profession.
Right.
I don't know.
So you'll say, I'm a stand-up comic.
Right. Yeah.
And is it like, there's...
you profess it. You profess I'm a stand-up comic, and then you're a professional.
And then you are.
Yeah, you're a professional. Or you're a professor.
Now, there's this concept that Malcolm Gladwell talks about in Outliers, one of his books. He says
10,000 hours?
The 10,000 hours. So that was...
I got it down to 9,589. So
that's when it clicked.
Yeah.
Right there.
Yeah, I got it down a little bit. Yeah.
Okay, so now you're professing it.
Yeah.
Like he is a professional now. The 9,000, what'd you say, 780?
589. Yeah.
In 2 seconds.
Yeah. Yeah. That's exactly the
But
moment.
I mean, I imagine like anything in life, just the more you do it, I would imagine it just becomes, okay, I now understand the timing, understand the cadence, understand how much.
Right. The cool thing about stand-up comedy is I feel like I'm always learning. That's why I find it still stimulating, because it's like I'm always finding new tricks, techniques, and ways to get to something or get a laugh. Or
do you have something that you would say, that's mine, that's the Daniel Lobell way of doing comedy? Or are you the same way at 15? You're like, supermarkets, are they really super?
No, I'm not still doing that.
You're not doing that. So is there a Danny Lobell?
Well, I do like a sort of, I guess I kind of do.
Did you come prepared today with any?
I didn't even know what I was doing when I got here. I had no idea what the show was or anything. I just knew that I agreed to do it. But I'm glad I did.
Okay, good.
I tend to weave storytelling with joke telling. So I'll write jokes, and then funny things will happen, and I'll be like, oh, that's a good story. Which jokes could fit into that story that I wrote to make it funnier? And I'll weave the jokes into the story and hybrid a story joke. That's what I tend to do.
I already asked you, but would you be able to show me a little bit on how that works?
Yeah, on YouTube, you could look it up.
Oh, man. Thought I was going to be able to get it.
Yeah.
What if I make a puppy dog face or something like that? And
what species? All right.
The Boston Terrier.
Boston Terrier. That's a convincing puppy dog face. No, I don't know.
Okay, fine. Sorry to put you on the spot, Dan.
Okay.
I mean,
I'm on the spot. It's okay.
Okay. Well, yes, it is being edited, so we're good. Okay, that's cool. Are there any stand-up comics today that do it for you?
I really like Sebastian Maniscalco.
He's my favorite.
He's really good.
What's your favorite Sebastian bit?
I don't know. They're all pretty good.
The carnauba wax. The butterfly.
I mean,
putting the luggage on the.
They're all good. I don't have any specific one that I think is better than the other ones.
Right.
But I like his bits a lot. Some of Nate Bargatze's stuff is pretty good. I like some of his stuff a lot.
I watched Joe Coy.
Okay.
I mean, he's...
You like him?
Yeah, I like him a lot, you know.
Okay.
I mean, I went to a Catholic high school with a bunch of Filipinos, so I kind of get the whole Filipino joke humor that he does.
Yeah, I used to know him pretty well. He used to come and do my podcast back when I was starting podcasting many years ago.
Really?
Yeah, he's a nice guy.
Nice.
I remember when he first got veneers, he was like so excited to show me his new fake teeth. It's the first time I knew that you could get fake teeth and that they'd look really good. He's like, look, I'm making it. And he's like, yeah, these fake teeth. He's a nice guy.
So how does one then get to a level of Sebastian or, you know, Joe Coy or like just, again, your jokes have to go viral. They have to be like, people just start seeing you. What is it?
Yeah, I suppose. I mean, a lot of it is, you know, it's out of our hands. It's up to Hashem. I mean, everything is, but like, it's, you know, some of that stuff is just like, will the opportunities come? I don't know. Like, you know, I've had a lot of almosts, but nothing that hit big, you know. But yeah, I mean, maybe those things all add up, you know, little steps, baby steps. But I don't really have a good answer as to how you do that. I think you just keep pursuing it, do your best to do a great job, and then leave the rest
Hashem.
to Hashem, yeah.
Have you ever gotten to a point where you're just like, you know what? I'm just it's not hitting the way I want it to hit and I'm done with this? Or is it like, and I imagine just like with anything in life is that if you start doing things for the followers or for the likes or for the hearts or for whatever, then you get lost in the more of the perception or the validation. But how have you been able to, how many years have you been doing this now and stay in the game?
So I started being quote unquote professional around 19.
And you're 23, so...
Right, so very young, obviously. So I'm 42. So it's been a long time. I did take a few years off when COVID hit, and I had 3 kids, thank God. And I took time to just sort of focus on that. And then I got back into it. And it was good because I got back in with fresh eyes, you know, new excitement for it. But other than that, I've done it consistently, and I really enjoy it. I really like making people laugh. I think it's a good thing to do. I think it's good to be able to bring simcha to people. I hope that's what I'm doing, you know. I think I do it for the right reasons, you know.
What are the right reasons?
To try and make people's life better, to make people laugh, you know.
Like you wake up in the morning, you say, you know, Daniel Lobell, and this is my purpose. This is my tachlis purpose. Is that I try to. That's what gets you up out of bed in the morning, other than your kids.
The alarm, yeah. But yeah, I mean, I'm very big on trying to spread happiness in the world. You know, trying to lift people's mood. I try to do that all the time, not just on stage, but all the time, like in little interactions too.
Do you feel that you live with this concept of God in your life?
Of course. Has that not been clear throughout the whole conversation?
It has been clear, but I just wanted to make sure that just in case if anybody...
I talk to God so much, he's probably like, you know, take it easy, all right? You're talking my ear off.
Do you say like a little prayer before you go up on stage?
Always.
What do you say to God?
Well, I always say something to the effect of, please God, may this go well, and may I make a Kiddush Hashem when I'm up there. Like,
what is a Kiddush Hashem?
To sanctify God's name. Because it's tricky, because when you go up there, you know, there's a lot of power in speech, you know, so... I always run the risk of offending people, which I don't always think is so bad. I think sometimes comedy should offend people, but a certain way, you know. Like I don't want to offend them deeply. Certainly, maybe make them think every now and then, but not. I don't want to hurt people, is what I'm saying. I don't want to hurt people, and I don't want to do something that will make people look poorly upon Jewish people as a representative of the Jewish people who's up there.
So
It's also why I don't wear yarmulke on stage, because I don't want to run the risk of representing poorly yarmulke.
But they still
Jews.
know that you're
They know I'm Jewish, right?
Do they know you're religious?
No, I don't, because unless it's a Jewish gig, when I talk about that, I don't want to be limited in what I can talk about and seen by the audience in a certain way, whereas in like, oh, a religious person's allowed to think that or whatever. I don't want to represent religious people on stage. I think it's dangerous. I think it's a very dangerous thing to do. And you have to be so careful to do that.
So do you feel, it sounds to me like you're very conscious, you're very cognizant as being, I'm a representative to some degree.
Well, I'm representing Jewish people. I don't go up in front of a secular crowd to represent religious Jewish people. When I do a religious Jewish gig, then it's different, But I'm not looking to make an impression on people of what a religious Jew is.
But you're still cognizant to some degree. I'm a Jew.
I'm always cognizant of that.
And therefore I want to make my people look good.
Right.
And I'm representing them while I'm up on stage.
100%.
And
I always want to make the Jewish people look good.
So therefore are you feeling like you're riding a fine line of, okay, can I say this joke? Can I not say this joke? If I say this joke, will it
yeah, or how to say things specifically. Like when I was not religious and I was starting out, I worked pretty dirty on stage, said a lot of things I wouldn't say now, because that was real to me at the time. Those were my thoughts, and that's what I was conveying to people. It was authentic. As I started to become observant, I didn't ever want to be inauthentic on stage. So I naturally and organically, my act morphed, into what it is now, which is clean and different, But those represent the thoughts that I have now, So it's not like I'm forcibly changing anything. I'm just giving
yourself.
you who I am now, right? As I
beautiful.
did, as I gave people who I was then, So I think there's something. I remember when I was becoming observant and I had my first album coming out, which was Dirty, and I was like, oh no, this Dirty album is coming out, and it's going to reflect poorly on me, and I feel embarrassed of that stuff now, a lot of it, what I said. And then I thought to myself, you know what? In a way, this could still be good, because people who would follow me would say, oh, wow, his new stuff is much better. What changed? I'm like, oh, he became observant. It could still work as a Kiddush Hashem.
Amazing.
I think. So, I hope, anyway.
Danny, what inspired you to become a little bit more religious or more involved in a life with God?
That's a long story. First of all, I never didn't have God in my life. I just was anti-religion. I became very anti-religious. I got kicked out of yeshiva. That was probably the first and biggest blow to my religiousness. I was kicked out mid-year of my first year in a Jewish high school for having not failing, but not great grades, which is an unprecedented reason to kick people. They kicked me and 3 other boys out. It was the first year of a high school. I won't say what it was, but they were striving to be a Jewish high school of academic excellence. And they felt that us 4 guys were bringing down the grade point average
of the school.
So we got a call over Pesach break that you guys are not coming back. We made a decision. And that was devastating to me, because it was all the kids I'd grown up with. We all had gone to this high school together. It was the first year of this high school. And it was like shattering, because it's like my entire network was going away. All my friendships were going away. And then only one of these kids that I grew up with even called me. It was like embarrassing. Like nobody even called me to see like what happened. And then my parents shopped me around to other Jewish high schools, and they could not believe the reason I was kicked out, and they thought there must be something more devious going on that they're hiding. And they would like grill me like under the police light, like, what did you do? What did you really do? And I'm like, I didn't do anything, you know? I wound up getting sent to like high school I always called the high school for messed up Jews. It was like, you know, Jews who had a drug addiction or like a real serious personality disorder or something. You know, they were like really, you know, struggling kids. And I remember the first morning, Shacharit, which is the morning prayer, I was very into, as I am now, very into prayer. And there's a word called kavana, which is like an intensity, a focus in your prayer. I had a lot of kavana, and I was davening, and I got hit with a bunch of spitballs by the other kids.
While
I was in the middle of Shemona Esrei.
Trying to maintain your kavana.
Yeah, and they were like, you know, they like relentlessly teased me for being into the davening. And then I was just like, all right, I'm done davening. I'm just like, I'm done. I'll just stop caring about it. Because I wanted to not be teased, and, you know, there was no ally there for davening. So I was just like, all right, I want to fit in. I don't want to be ostracized. I'm already in this new place. It was an hour away from where I lived, and I didn't want to be the unpopular kid in school. And so that all started to like strip away at my religiosity, all these things, and I hated that school. I really hated that school, and I begged my parents to take me out and put me in public school, and so they finally did. And they put me in public school, and I loved public school. And I was just like, all these things started making me question, like, why am I even religious? Am I just religious because I was raised religious? Are any of these my beliefs, or are these just my parents' beliefs that were put on me? I don't remember ever coming to any of these conclusions or wanting to take on that lifestyle. And it's so much better, more fun not to. And I really fit in this public high school. I have a lot of friends. I have the arts and music and all these things, and I think I like this a lot better. I think this is more me. And my parents set me up to go to a program in Israel for a year after high school. I was still very I was like still teetering like on, you know, like between, you know, being religious, not being religious. And I was the president of a local synagogue youth group that was like regional for Long Island, and they had different chapters. And even I was in public school, I was the president of my chapter. And I took it pretty seriously, and I did a lot of like events and stuff, and I was pretty excited to be the president of something. And then they had a event for all the presidents of all the different chapters at the end of the year, right before you go to Israel for the year, to be given an award. They called me up. They're like, do you own a tuxedo? I said, no, you know, in high school. They're like, well, you'd need to rent one and come out to this campground where you're going to get an award as a chapter president. Oh, wow, cool. So I got this tuxedo and I go out there. And they had this very long ceremony, and they called up every chapter president for over like maybe 3.5 hours. And I'm waiting there, and they never called me up. And then this rabbi comes, he goes, puts his arm around me. He's like, Daniel, come, let's go for a walk. So we're walking through the woods in this campground. He's like, so you may have noticed you weren't called up. I said, yeah. He said, here's what it is. You're going to a co-ed program in Israel. And we were going to give you an award, but we talked, the rabbis and we talked, and we thought it could be seen as an endorsement for that program, which we don't want to endorse. And so we decided to call you up, and we tell everybody where you're going. It's not going to be so good, so I hope you understand.
Right.
And I didn't understand. In fact, it made me so furious. It was like, I thought at the time it was like a final straw with me in Orthodox Judaism. I was just like, these people are, you know, they're just so mean. They're just so mean. And I was just done with it. When I went to Israel for the year, I saw that you can be Jewish and not be religious. And I was like, I think that's me. I think I'm a secular Jew. And then I came back. I went to college in New York City. I was living in New York. I was pursuing stand-up comedy full-time after school. and I wasn't performing on Shabbat because I was still keeping Shabbat. And then I just sit and do Shabbat in my apartment. I remember my roommate would go out and party. He was Jewish also. I met him in Israel. But he would go out and party, and I would be sitting home with like challahs and wine doing this Shabbat by myself on the Upper East Side in this apartment. And I was like, what am I doing? All my friends are out there like doing great, amazing shows, and I'm sitting here alone. And I found a Sephardic, because I'm Sephardic, I went to a Sephardic congregation on the Upper East Side, and I would start going there, and I'm thinking maybe I'll find some community there. And I didn't talk about this because it never came up, but I had a rabbi who was very, very, very wonderful in my life, who was the rabbi of my shul, the Sephardic congregation of Long Beach. His name was Rabbi Asher Abitan of blessed memory. He was from Morocco. And he was like a third grandfather to me.
Wow.
And when I went to public high school, and I didn't want to have nothing on my head, but I didn't want to wear a yarmulke because I didn't want to stand out. I wanted to wear a cap, like I'm wearing right now. And they said, no, we have a no cap policy. So if it's a religious thing, wear a yarmulke, and if not, take the cap off. And I talked to my rabbi at the Sephardic shul, and he called up and he went in personally to the school.
Wow.
and made it so that I could wear a cap.
Wow.
So that was very impactful on me. That like I was like, so there were these things like that kept me kind of attached to Judaism and stuff throughout this. And like the rabbi was a very big part of that. So on the Upper East Side, I thought maybe I could find like a shul like I grew up in here in Manhattan. So I started going to this shul on the Upper East Side, and I never got invited to anybody's house ever. I was just like this weird kid who was there, and I tried to talk to people. It seemed like nobody really wanted to talk to me. I just felt like very cold. It was very cold. I would sit at the Kiddush and I'd try and make conversation. People were not taking to me. I just had no connection. And I finally was like, this is stupid. I don't know why I'm still doing Shabbat. I don't know why I'm holding on to this. My rabbi, who I grew up with, passed away, it was like my big connection to positive Judaism. And I'm like, why am I doing this? Why am I missing out on building my career to keep Shabbat that I don't even believe in, sitting by myself in an apartment? So I'm like, I can't be 1 foot in, 1 foot out. I got to go all in on something. So I went all in on my comedy and stopped keeping Shabbat, and soon after stopped keeping kosher with meat. I'd been keeping meat kosher. I stopped keeping meat kosher. And then the way I understand it, looking back spiritually, is that I completely dehydrated my soul, my neshama. I completely dehydrated it. I fed it nothing to the point where it was like I became anti-religious. I became all the things that upset me magnified, and all the things I liked minimized. And I became vehemently against religion. And like, I started to look down on religious people. I started to be angry at religious people. Like, I didn't want anything to do with them. I didn't want to go to shuls. I didn't want to go to Shabbat dinners. I didn't want to go to anything anymore. Like, I would only go to one thing a year, which was Yom Kippur at the shul that I grew up in the Sephardic congregation in Long Beach. See, by the way, they wanted a not serious episode. They picked the wrong comedian for that. But sorry. But you asked, I'm telling you.
Okay.
So also I was like, I'm never dating a Jewish girl because they're just going to suck me back into it. I wanted out. And so I was dating this non-Jewish girl. She moved into my apartment with me in Brooklyn on DeVoe Street. My dog is named for that. And my career as a comedian was really taking off. I was doing amazing things. I was on all the big shows. I was on all the big showcases for Letterman and Comedy Central and all these different things. I had a manager. I was touring internationally. I was
making money too now.
Making money. I was going out for months at a time to the UK, or I started opening for two very well-known comedians, touring with them. one guy named Bobby Kelly and Robert Kelly, and another guy named Ralphie May, who's since passed on, and things were going really well with the comedy. And I had this girlfriend, and she's living with me, and I'm pretty happy. And I just remember, like, so I went to Yom Kippur for 1 year. That year I went to Yom Kippur right before my girlfriend moved in with me. And I realized that I had been what I considered very sinful that year. You know, what the Torah would consider very sinful that year. Like, I had really fallen off. And I was like, not so sure that I was in for a good judgment. So
did that scare you?
It scared me a lot. So I was.
Or before, just leading up, this year has been fruitful. It's been plenty. You've done well. You've
career-wise, but I was.
But now on a spiritual, there was something spiritually.
On a spiritual level, I was completely bankrupt. And I was doing all the things I felt I shouldn't be doing. I certainly was, like, you know, religiously gone. And I was like, you know what? I've become a bad person. I don't think I'm a good person anymore. And I don't know that I'm in for a good judgment. And I went to the boardwalk as the sun was setting and Yom Kippur was ending. And I saw, like, the sky was fiery and the beach. And I looked up to God and I said, if you write me in for a good year, I'll do a Shabbat this year. And by that I meant, like, go to a Shabbat. You know, like, not fully observe a Shabbat, like, just, I was so far gone from it that I was just like, I'll go to a Shabbat, you know, I'm thinking that's doing a Shabbat. And so that was my promise to God, and I said, please write me for life and health, and I'll do a Shabbat this year. And
you got your sign. You got written for life, God willing. You felt like the decree was made.
Well, I don't know, but I mean, the door, the gates closed, and Yom Kippur was over. And so I knew that I had made this promise that I was going to do a Shabbat. And then I went back to my life and back to touring and all this stuff, and mostly forgot about that. And I was doing a show in Brooklyn and Williamsburg.
Which, by the way, is one of the more religious neighborhoods in
But
New
not
York.
This part of Williamsburg. This is like the hipster part.
Okay.
And I'm walking down Bedford Avenue, and I see this rabbi, and he stops me. He's like, "Are you Jewish?" And I was like, "Oh man, I look so Jewish." Huh? You know, I'm like, "Yes, I'm Jewish." He's like, "Well, why don't you come upstairs? We're doing Shabbat." I said, "Well, I'm on my way to do a show right now. I'm a comedian, but I said, but you know, I did promise God that I'd do a Shabbat this year, so maybe another time." He's like, "I'll hold you to it." I'm like, "All right, whatever." So I went, and then, like, I start getting booked a lot at this spot in Brooklyn. So I keep running into this rabbi when I'm going to do shows Friday nights, and he goes, "Tonight?" I said, "No, not tonight." "Tonight?" No. And, like, months passed, and the year's, like, almost over. And he comes up to me and goes, "You made a promise to God, Shabbat." I said, "Look, Rabbi, I have a show in the village later tonight. So even if I came up there, I would have to leave in a taxi and go to my show." And he said, "Something to do with me. You come up and do Shabbat." So I was like, "I better just get it over with, you know." So I made that promise. So I go up there. It's the Chabad of North Williamsburg. And I don't think I'd ever been to a Chabad house before, and I had no idea what I was walking into. And it was so warm. That was the first thing that hit me. It was like very warm, and I had already decided that Judaism was very cold. And I'm like, oh, they just don't know about, like, the way I live my life. They're going to go off on me and, like, everything. Like, but then I noticed, like, everybody there wasn't really religious except the rabbi. So I'm, like, talking to these people. They're like a cool group of people. I was like, oh, this guy's an artist. This guy's a filmmaker. I'm like, so why are you guys all here? They're like, oh, we like doing this Shabbat thing. It's fun. I was like, oh, all right. It's interesting. I'm surprised to hear that, you know. And then the davening started, and it was, like, really nice davening. Like, it made me feel good listening to the davening. And then they had a Friday night dinner, and it was, like, the first time I'd had a home-cooked meal in a long time because I hadn't been going home. and it felt really nice to have like a home cooked meal. And then I excused myself, got in a taxi, went to my show. But the rabbi was like, will you come back? I'm like, yeah, I think I will. So every now and then I would go in, get a free dinner, and then go back and do my shows. So fast forward to my non-Jewish girlfriend had moved in with me. She's like, what are we doing for dinner tonight? I'm like, what night is it? And he goes, it's Friday. I said, I know where we could get a free dinner. It's pretty good, but you're going to probably have to lie and say you're Jewish. She's like, okay, I don't feel comfortable with that. But I'm like, well, I'll just say you're Jewish, and you just don't dispute it. She's like, okay. So I take her there, and I'm like, this is my girlfriend. Her mother's Jewish. Like, because I knew she didn't look Jewish. So I'm like, her mother's Jewish. She's like, oh, okay. So took her for the meal, and I thought that might be the end of it, right? And afterwards, she's like, wow, it was really amazing. I'm like, oh, yeah, don't get too into it. Trust me, it doesn't go a good way. You know? She's like, oh, I'd like to know more about it. I'm like, yeah, I don't think you want to know any more about it. Anyway, I don't know how to make this very long story succinct, but I would keep going on tour, and I'd keep coming back, and the pile of Jewish books that she had bought off the internet was growing, and like these towers of Jewish books. I'm like, and she tells me, I think I want to convert to Judaism. And I'm like, no, you don't want to convert to Judaism.
And by the way, she knows that her mother's Jewish.
Her mother's not Jewish.
Her mother's not Jewish. Okay.
No, I made that up.
Okay.
I'm like, oh, wait till they find that out. You know, you're not going to be so well accepted then. You know. So we went in, and I came clean to the rabbi. I'm like, I lied. I'm like, she's not Jewish. He says, okay. I said, so we can't keep coming, right? So he goes, no, you can keep coming. I'm like, we're not kicked out? He's like, no, we can keep coming. I'm like, even though I have a non-Jewish girlfriend that I live with? He goes, yeah. So we kept going. And like, I remember I went to South Africa for a month to do shows, and when I came back, like, the whole apartment was filled with Jewish books that she'd been reading. Like, what does it mean to be a Jew? What do the Jews believe? All these different things. And she says, I want to convert to Judaism. And I'm like, look, I escaped from Judaism. I don't want to go back. I'm like, don't convert to Judaism. But she wouldn't stop. It was like relentless. I'm like, I just want my old life back, you know? I don't know why. I should have never took her to the Chabad. And, you know, anyway, it was a big fight. But finally I said, okay, then convert to Reform Judaism. So she went to some Reform thing, and she came back and told me, and I said, oh, that's all nonsense what they told you. That's like terrible. She said, well, you're the one who said to go to that. I said, well, maybe conservative Judaism would be better then. That's maybe more palatable if you really want to do this. So we met with this conservative rabbi for a conversion, and it was at a kosher style but not kosher deli. And I just remember, like, he was like, you like farmer's cheese? To me. And I said, farmer's cheese? He goes, yeah. You like farmer's cheese? I go, yeah, sure. He goes, you're halfway there. I said, I'm already there. I'm all the way there. I'm Jewish already. What are you talking about? He goes, all right. He goes, do you like tongue? That's the big question. I said, yeah, I like tongue. Oh, we got a Jew, ladies and gentlemen. I said, that's what it means to be Jewish? He goes, I've done a lot of conversions. I converted Nancy Sinatra. I'm not sure if she's still Jewish. I said, once somebody's Jewish, they're always Jewish. And I go, this guy doesn't know what he's talking about. Let's get out of here. So that was the end of her converting conservative. And then she found, she Googled Jewish conversions in our neighborhood, and she found there was a conversion class at a place called the Greenpoint Shul in Greenpoint, Brooklyn, and she started going to these classes, and I wouldn't go with her. And she kept trying to get me to go, and I wouldn't. And then she made a kosher kitchen in our non-kosher kitchen in Brooklyn. She used the kosher kitchen, and I would use the non-kosher kitchen. And
she's dedicated.
Like I was like fighting tooth and nail not to go back down this road. And then I was like, you know what? I just need to put a stop to this. This is a ridiculous fad that she's going through. I'm going to go with her to her conversion class. I'm going to go off on the rabbi about everything that I've been through and everything I don't like about Judaism. He's going to kick us out, and that'll be the end of it. So I went with her to this class. And after the class, I went off on this poor rabbi like crazy. And he just sat there like really patiently and listened to me. And he's like, you've been through a lot. He's like, and if you walked out the door and you never want to come back in, I wouldn't blame you at all. I think most people have gone through what you've dealt with, and you have some very valid reasons to feel the way you feel. I'm not going to dispute them. He said, but if you ever want a more positive experience with Judaism, our door is always open to you, and we'd love to have you here. And it was very disarming. I couldn't believe that. I just couldn't believe that that was his reaction. I thought it was going to be like, get the heck out of here. Yeah. It's good they kicked you out of Jewish school. You don't belong anywhere near us, you know. So, like, it wasn't that at all. And I was like, okay. So every now and then I start going with her class. So it's like a bunch of converts. And I started learning about Judaism from, like, square one. And then I just started seeing all the beauty in it that I had lost. I started learning about it like a convert learns about Judaism. And I was like... Fresh eyes. And I still wasn't keeping kosher. And then I had a crazy experience. I was at Whole Foods in Columbus Circle, and I got like food from the buffet there, and I had some chicken, non-kosher chicken. And it was like, I heard from Chabad that there's a word for this. I don't remember what it is, but it was like I got hit with a ray of spiritual lightning. Like something happened to me. Like I felt suffering inside of me. Like I felt like maybe this chicken I ate suffered. I couldn't explain it. It was like, I still can't explain it. I've never had another thing like it. It's outside of the rational. It's into the spiritual. It's not something that I can tell you what it's like. It was like God zapped me for eating this chicken. He's just like...
And you felt it this time, and you never felt something like that before?
I was shivering, but not like a fever. I was shivering like fear. And then I stayed in bed for 3 days because
of the Whole Foods chicken.
Because of this. It wasn't food poisoning. It wasn't anything physical sickness, but I felt like a spiritual sickness. I felt like it was a turning point. And I realized in this moment, like it was like God saying, okay, enough patience, enough chances. Either you're in or you're out. Like you're either going to do this or you're not going to do this. You're going to have to decide. And I went on Google and I typed in Jewish podcast or something like that. And I got one that came up that said Jewish Judaism Spirituality Torah. And I listened to it for 3 days in bed. It was this Rabbi Basus. And I still listen to him.
Wow.
All these years later. I still listen to him all the time. And at the time he was a rabbi in Highland Park, New Jersey. Now he moved to Israel. But he still does his podcast. And I just listened to this, and it was the only thing that made me feel better was when I had his podcast playing. It was the only time that I felt like I had any relief from this like spiritual sickness. And as soon as I turned it off, I'd feel it again, like the shivering.
Wow.
I'm telling you, like it was surreal. So then I was like, all right, fine.
So now it's like, I got to take the message. Something's happening.
After 3 days, I said, all right, God, I will keep kosher with chicken. I really, really only gave an inch at a time. Like I was like, so I'd still have non-kosher turkey or other non-kosher things, but just chicken. But it was the first step into kosher for me. It was like, all right, I keep kosher with chicken.
Now, Danny, I have to ask you. I mean, we might have to do a part 2, but I have to ask you. this woman.
Yeah.
Is this your wife?
No, I was just one of many girls. No. They all wind up converting. No, yes, that's my wife.
It's your wife.
Yeah, that's my wife.
So you stayed
Rabbi Schaff married us, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, and became her sponsoring rabbi for her conversion if we fast forward way past the story. Yeah.
So you dated for how long?
5 years. Well, 5 years before we got married. And she went through 3 conversions in that time.
So
yeah,
she didn't end with the Orthodox conversion. There was like a few.
She was doing this Orthodox conversion at the Greenpoint Synagogue. And she had almost completed it. It was through the RCA, the Rabbinical Council of America. And we moved. So I told you I'd been opening for Ralphie May, the comedian. So we had a crazy neighbor situation in Brooklyn. My neighbors were Ecuadorian gang members. I was actually friendly with them, but they also held a knife to me several times. And anyway, the gang fights were getting worse and worse between them and their rival gang. And we were seeing a lot of blood around the hallways, and the building was very unsafe. And anyway, I told Ralphie, and he's like, you got to get out of there. He's like, He's like, move to LA. I'll help you out, get settled in LA. There's more opportunity out here. You could come work for me and help me make a podcast and stuff. So I said, okay. So I went out to LA, and my wife, who was almost done with her conversion, we just thought she'll finish it there. We'll find a shul, and we got set up with a rabbi, Rabbi Kanevsky at B'nai David, to finish her conversion. But when we got there, he said, oh, well, we can't actually finish this conversion. We'll have to start over again because you need, in California, you can't do RCA.
Yeah.
So we're like, oh, okay. So what are the other options? So he told us another Orthodox rabbi who does conversions, who's very good, but I won't say his name because she did convert with him, but then found out his conversions are not accepted in Israel. So she finished the conversion with him, but then I said, look, I don't want my kids, after all we've been through, and now we're fast forwarding a lot,
yeah.
But I'm living in LA, I'm becoming observant, and I'm saying, like, after all we've been through, it would really suck if our kids went to Israel and they weren't looked at as Jewish, our future kids. So then my wife went and did the RCC conversion, which is accepted in Israel. So 3 conversions.
Wow.
So
what a journey.
Yeah.
And then Rabbi Schaff married you, and then shortly thereafter.
And then, so Rabbi Schaff married us. Then we did the RCC conversion because we found out that the kids are, we held off on having kids until that was done. And then, 4 years into being married, we had our first kid, and thank God we have 3 kids now. Yeah. So
Daniel Lobell, what a story.
Yeah.
I mean, I thought we were just talking. We were just talking about dogs and seagulls, and you know.
Well, it gets deep sometimes.
My gosh,
So,
but I have to say, honestly, this has been such a treat to get to know you, and you didn't know what you were coming in here for. I didn't know how this was going to go, and now I'm like, I'm very.
And now
grateful.
I'm getting very into Islam.
Love it. Let's tell us about that. Do you have another hour?
No.
Okay.
No.
So everybody, thank you so much, Danny. I really do appreciate you coming here, sharing your story, sharing some of your words of wisdom, and I wish you only blessing.
Amen.
And may you continue to bring joy into this world.
Amen.
And make people laugh and make people happy, and we should only share in good times together.
Thank you so much. Pleasure to be here.
Thank you, my friend.
Thank you.
Amazing.
How was that? All right?
That was